All right, the time is now 6:31, call the meeting to order. Please be advised that this meeting will be recorded and made available to the public. First order of business, minutes of previous meeting, November 26th, 18. Questions, comments, minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 3A, public comment. Anyone in the public wishes to comment on anything this evening? Seeing none, we have an opportunity again at the end of the agenda. 3D agenda review. Okay.
We have 3 consent items now. We added mini grants, school board grants, and then a couple of field trips. We could do the retirement after non-public, and we can do the other 2.
No, still trying to find my computer out. And so there are 3 sheet explanations. No? On the 3D consent agenda.
You have the school board mini grants were due, and those are in. I think you have 4 to your report. These are there for your consideration.
What kind of order?
There were multiples in one of them.
Oh, okay.
Patty, the principal to over them?
Nope, that's all. I would like 1 minute to ensure that I'm not.
You can have the same day as well.
Okay. My apology, I just did a second. Yeah, no.
I've got a thought. I was waiting for everyone to kind of catch up.
Mm-hmm.
People want to spend the next week kind of reviewing these, ranking them, and send the rankings to Patty, and she'll put them on a spreadsheet and issue the grant to the lowest.
That's a good idea.
Because we may end up talking about whether or not we'll have a 17th meeting, and if it goes, we don't have a 17th meeting, it's going to be quite a while before we get back to it.
And
So,
one of them seems to be.
Honestly, I'd be comfortable.
Want to take a 5-minute recess and review them?
Well, no, I mean, before, so I'd be comfortable with actions.
I've reviewed as well, but I don't know what the others.
Like, we can just do it at the end of the meeting.
Do you want to take it back up to the end of the meeting? Okay, we can do that. Right?
Yeah, I think it's
That's right.
Yes. So call received 2 requests for robotics field trips. So for March and 1 for April.
Made a motion first.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions, comments?
How are they doing this year?
Doing well. They had their holiday tournament over the weekend, this past weekend, did very well. And my understanding that the Worcester trip would likely take place at the Council Bluffs, Iowa trip that they've done for the last couple of years. Kentucky would still remain as the world, because that's one of the biggest tournaments that they're in. So with Worcester being in our backyard, so to speak, they opted to look into this tournament as opposed to Iowa.
Any other questions? All in favor of approving the 2 robotics trips? Christie,
getting back to the grants, is that something, can we actually, want to know about the grants?
You think going up again, something?
Yeah, there was just some personnel questions and stuff that,
Okay.
what necessarily, in terms of, the people involved.
I think that's fine. They would take up the time after the public. So moving on to 3E, FY 20 budget. Got a new packet, evening. You will see that there have been some changes made, and I'll let Patty and Amber go over those.
Just to mention, in your drive, you would find the co-curricular documents that you asked for, just wanted to mention those, to get it to us. So there were some changes made in the operating budget. We were made aware that we had a $108,000 special education increase. We added the cost of the modular and figured up some of the retirement benefits. And when we did that, we found that we were approaching the point when we were feeling like we weren't sure the budget could be supported at that level of increase. So we met as a leadership team and tried to get the budget back down more closely to where you felt like you could, indicated that you could support it at our last meeting. So we made some hard decisions and talked about the two positions that we had, that the board had approved adding in the draft form of social work, and we talked about whether or not we were going to make those guidance counselor positions. And I think with, in terms of the elementary position, with the merger with Helen Village, I'm not really sure what that's going to look like yet. So for right now, there is a guidance counselor in both places, part-time at Village. There's an administrator in both places. When they combine, Susie will have the benefit. There will be two administrators in the building. And I think a lot of times the principals have leaned on the guidance counselors for other tasks that maybe they won't need to now, because of the assistant principal position. So we would like to wait a year and see what that feels like, having both buildings combined, and reevaluate that at a later time.
So for both, or just?
Yep, I'll explain the other one.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so, for Pembroke Academy, we talked about, we had asked were there things that we thought we could give up in order to get this position, and, given the condition of the budget, we made the decision that we would reevaluate in the spring, when we had more staffing information, and I think Paul's feeling that there may be a way for us to, still have that position when we're coming out with a zero net increase.
So you're not giving up on the position necessarily, you're looking to fund it with existing level. Thank you.
We also received another, retirement announcement, not for the early benefit, but,
I'm sorry, can we go back to the guidance?
Yeah.
So, Three Rivers, I thought you talked about elementary and high school, but.
The elementary position we talked about sharing between Three Rivers and Helen
I know,
Village.
but then we said
And-
two, because we really can't share, there was that whole discussion.
Yeah,
So-
and that was the conversation that we had about the difficulty of sharing a position. And I think Three Rivers is of the same opinion, Jonathan certainly speaks for himself, that, looking at the enrollment next year, we're feeling like we're going to hold and wait for that 1 year, until combination and reevaluate that.
Good? Yeah.
So, I would not assume that anything's gonna happen next year beyond the contract. It would be a contract year. So if this is, I mean, I was fairly adamant about questioning it. I mean, I understand at the elementary level, and the high school, it's also like we're gonna be building that out. But if we need something for Three Rivers, that isn't changing. And there was a pretty impassioned case for it. My humble opinion is that if we either put in this year or we don't. The contracts are typically, that's gonna be a seven-figure impact to the budget regardless. So to add positions at that point, not regardless how necessarily it's been in the past. It just is, again, the need is there. And this is from the person who wants to still, I'd say, that's a good need-to case now, or I would assume need-to case next year.
I think we had talked about part-time as we were in part-time at Hill, and part-time is problematic. So that's why we came
So
up.
I guess I was thinking, I mean, based on what I heard and what I know you deal with, it wouldn't take much to convince me to add a full-time for Three Rivers, knowing that although she's going through a transition from South High School, we're going to be able to make something happen with existing resources. And that's my perspective.
I think there's some other things that Penny's going to talk about that, I don't know if that, I don't know. I think there's a few things going on other than this, so we certainly return to this, but.
Yeah, it can, do you mind if I just finish with that review and then we can sort of.
Okay,
Have a whole
Would you like to
picture.
speak now, or?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, okay, all right.
Tom's doing it fine, so.
Okay,
Go ahead.
all right, so the other, we had a retirement announcement that is not an early retirement, for a case manager at Three Rivers. So we sat down and looked at the numbers for special education students projected for next year and asked the department if they could live without filling that position, and the special coordinator felt like we could make that happen. So we've taken out a case management position as well, for Three Rivers. And lastly, looking at the enrollment again, we had been talking about for, a year or so, knowing that the fourth grade class is smaller, whether or not we should be looking at a fifth grade teaching position. Now, understanding it doesn't translate like it does K-4, it's pretty simple. There are 60 kids, there are either 4 teachers or 5 teachers or 3 teachers. When they go to the middle school level, it's departmentalized, and they move around. So the way that it would happen, and right now, just so that you know, with this bottom line, there is a cut position from Three Rivers, so it is in the budget. Just wanting you to understand that it means that instead of a double block of reading and language arts, there would be one combined. So we would, potentially, it might not be the exact person, but one of those positions would go away, and there would be one English language arts block that would take away approximately 30 minutes a day of what they get right now for the 2 separated blocks. If we don't do that, so that's what it would look like. If we don't do that, we're talking about class sizes of 12. So it was a very difficult conversation. Again, once we added the things in that we needed to add to the budget, we felt like I felt like it was, the increase was too much, that you had indicated we could support the budget last time, and we were gonna come back with several $100,000 more. So I asked that we take a look and we balance out, and get closer. I think we're $60,000 under what we gave you last time. That's what we did, and put it out there we still haven't done the infrastructure for technology, for E-rate. So this is what I'm bringing to you at this point. I should certainly go through it more, line by line, but I think that's the summary.
I'd like to clarify the question first, if you don't mind. Currently, can you explain what you have in the fifth grade level classes? What are the kids doing?
Yeah, and it's true for all grade levels.
Okay.
We have 5 core classes.
Yep.
We have language arts, writing class. We have reading class. We have science. We have math. We have social studies. They all need about 44 minutes per day.
Now, if you walk me through what fifth grade will look like,
We would have to remove one of those classes.
we extend the time for the others. Is that what you're thinking here?
We would, there's 2 models, and we would look at. One of which would extend those blocks to 55 minutes, and so it would turn into, assuming we would try to teach the reading and writing class as one, it would be a 55-minute block. So currently, because it's a double block, it's 88 minutes, it would go to 55 minutes daily.
For everybody.
For all 5th grades. The there is another model, but I prefer not to talk about that until we, if we were going to go public, until we start talking about that situation. So,
But you, can you attempt to try and pick up the language arts reading piece under theoretically a single
yeah,
class?
approximately 30 to 33 minutes a day that we would lose for direct instruction.
But you gain that time for math, science, social
So
studies.
you gain 10 minutes here.
So it would be spread, that time would be spread out among
Correct.
other areas. You wouldn't lose the seat time, you lose the reading language arts.
Correct.
Seat time.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. All right, I'm good. Nick?
Is that gonna be enough time to achieve whatever your educational goals are for those kids at that level? Are you comfortable with that?
Good question, Nick, apparently.
Maybe comfortable isn't a good word.
We have had this model since I've been here, with a reading and language arts class. So, if you look at language arts and reading curriculum, it's pretty massive. One of the bigger curriculum areas that we have to cover.
Okay, I think I understand.
Standardized testing is very important, and the results of standardized testing are very important. Would eliminating the position in all likelihood decrease students' standardized achievement level?
I don't think we have the data to.
There'd be speculation. All I can say is it's
Right.
a minimum of 30 minutes per day that we lose in direct instruction.
With that understanding, I know that math is an area of concern. You would also pick up 10 minutes,
About
10 minutes of math instruction, and then, the side of the STEM, science is also getting more important. I mean, I understand you guys got a lot of stuff to do, but there are benefits if I can go that route.
You're right.
It's not all doom and gloom. Okay. Others?
I definitely would like to hear, the approach,
Okay.
in the whole.
Yep.
Yes, as far as, yes, so we can add some questions.
We're all set with that for the moment? Okay.
You want me to go through exactly where the stuff was, or is my summary? They're all highlighted.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Okay.
Over your question?
Absolutely.
And so in terms of the appropriation increase, so what I'm seeing right now is $333,000. So, could you tell me, if you have any reference that can tell me exactly what the cost of the contract is this year?
Of the negotiation contract?
Right.
I'd have to look back in the warrant. It might be online if somebody wants to reference for that.
In contact, what was it?
No, that's the cost of it. The cost would have been on the warrant article.
Was on the warrant,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and obviously there's people changes.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to know is, my guess is that the cost of the contract was probably more than this.
Yes.
It's probably over three.
Yes.
Because if I recall, it's close to $1 million
So again,
contract.
unfortunately, Ann and I weren't able to get together in this last week. But that is something, and I have a number of things that I brainstormed in terms of the beginning of the budget committee. So I think that's an important issue, and it's important to me that people understand that the cost of the contract that was voted upon right now, my assumption is it's greater than the overall increase.
I think especially if you look at the
Fund
Fund One
one.
total without the grants and the food service budget, that was only $260,000.
definitely.
Exactly.
I like, but, no, if we can get specifics about that, so,
But don't forget, we do have, these theoretical savings going to the village, that's gonna be brought forward, that those savings, you're actually not starting with a zero budget, you should be starting with something lower than that. So just two sixty-seven plus whatever savings are there.
that was like 55. So maybe, depending on if we, maybe we can, I like that. Right.
Okay. Other general budget questions? No? We pulled the, sports information that you wanted, looked at it, are you okay?
Yeah. You know what, I'm not sure was mentioned, hopefully it was under this question on, Fall Spirit. Right, several weeks ago, last part board, and everyone is aware that they need to keep in mind when they do championship, the second year experience of Fall Spirit.
I don't think the issue was whether or not we could perform for the team,
No, I
it was
just thought it
whether
was-
or not we should be funding it.
It was just-
That's something I was gonna let go tonight, Tom.
It was just perspective, but I just wanted to, make sure that, that's there. And then when we have kids in school, I'm actually excited with this. I mean, not kids in school, but,
Forever.
years.
Dick?
Cost for ice hockey, is that just Pembroke cost, or is that combined cost?
Yes, correct.
That was the one that,
Just Pembroke,
That's just the Pembroke.
is my understanding.
okay, but if you want to go down this road, yeah, that one
Well, I
stood
saw
out
the
to
number,
me.
I saw the number of kids.
High.
Is that the total number of kids who play, or is it just Pembroke?
I think we would disaggregate Pembroke from Campbell in that regard, if we're gonna base this just on the cost for Pembroke, then I think Freddie excludes the Camden players.
Thank you.
You know what's interesting about that, Dave, is obviously that's a, participation, greatly impacted by participation. Because when we signed that, cooperative agreement, the overall net cost to the district was just, I don't know, it was like less than $5,000
So that,
between the cooperative agreement and the boosters.
boosters.
So, I mean, it is what it is. If we had twice the kids, it would be half of that. But I think it's important to keep in mind that it's not like that relates to a $20,000, $50,000 expense. Again,
Well, it is $20,000 expense.
well,
$21,000 expense.
District. Right, for the district.
I mean, this is I'll mention it, I'm not sure I'm doing it about it, but this is $21,000 we're spending on 20 kids for a program that I would argue, and all the eyes are against it, that is little known and little followed within the district.
What percentage of that cost is that the district cost, the total district cost 21, not the whole cost, okay?
Does that include the ice and the floor? So would that offset by?
That's what I'm, yeah, I guess
wondering
that's what I'm
if
asking.
that
asking.
seems really high.
Right.
Because they do, I know they were paying a pretty substantial amount.
I specifically remember
I
we
used the
started,
most
this was like a $5,000 or $6,000 expense, but we just want to jump on the spread what they did.
How many kids got some?
Before
I got here.
And, no, it wasn't, hold on. Then we went Barber's. Where's annual?
Right, we should take a look.
Where's annual?
Were you on the board when it was conference?
I think it went 16 was the first, no, I'm sorry, no, I know. I want to say 13 was the first year, because Chris played, and I think that was the first year cooperative. 12 or 13.
Well, if we can get.
It happened before.
Is there any way paying attention that night?
There's no way it could have gone.
May have not been here.
Yeah, so that's.
And again, that's, as much as I can't overly bank on this, whatever the number is, cost to cover taxpayers is 40% of that.
number, and I don't know, it was $11,000 number back then, and this is, graduated in 14, so, it's, yeah, $11,000. I was talking to, I can't think of the name right now, killing me. Just talking about the cost and basically the whole little impact, all that stuff back then. I wish I could remember, sorry.
I can tell you, growing up in Pembroke, without a hockey team, it was, at least among my peers, the sole reason why, 90% of the kids in Pembroke went to grade. So from a marketing perspective, from a marketing perspective, I think there's a certain value in terms of keeping kids in the kids knowing every Epsom, Chichester, Allenstown kid that is ready to play hockey. Would offset that money, would offset those dollars in a heartbeat.
Right. There was, that $11,000 cost was something that was matched by the boosters. So when you put the two of them together, you get close to that 21,000 right there.
Yeah, it's probably been 7 or 8 years, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that 20,000.
Yeah. So.
Alright, sounds like.
Yep. Any other questions on the budget?
Of course, I'm gonna talk about that, we're not gonna talk about yearbook.
We can talk about anything you guys like.
So what's up with yearbook? I just.
Not participation. So it's not very well participated. Two students.
Really?
Two students.
Put
Faculty
together
members.
the,
Small budget.
It's a very costly endeavor without robust staff. It can be very expensive per pupil. For some reason, it's.
And then we got to split between 5 students.
That's kind of weird to do it for cost, because they're doing a yearbook for the school,
Well,
so
This is
you
one of
can't
those
really say
things that the,
cost
Well, it is
Athletic director
it is
brought
per
up.
pupil, but
Yeah.
what it does leave out though is the revenue.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Right.
So, I mean, if the only co-curricular has a revenue offset, correct?
But where's that revenue go?
Well,
Go back to
I mean,
there.
there is tickets, but.
Yeah,
What
this
is your money going? Is there any, is it,
it goes into student activities account.
Yeah.
So we're using
Yeah, I knew it
operating
was
dollars to
being
meet it, but the revenue is going into student activities.
I have
That's what I was just thinking too.
I have to talk
We
to
can
you
check
about
on
that.
that,
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's,
Well,
If we do it for a profit, then you pay
or
back.
is it strictly they're selling it at cost? Sounds like there's some yearbook questions that we can explore as well.
Does anybody else want to go through the rest of these?
You pay for game ice, the boosters pay for practices. Game ice is $6,000.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll point out how inexpensive the non-athletics programs are. There I'm done.
yeah, just a question. Paul, could you sort of remind us what the criteria is for students to participate in it, as far as credits students need to stand? I mean,
They have to be in good standing and they have to pass 5 classes. If they're enrolled in any less than 6, they have to be passing all of them. But generally speaking, students are enrolled in 35 credits worth of classes. So the understanding is you can conceivably fail to still be eligible by NHI AA standards, and ours are a little more stringent than the NHI as well. Anything less than that, you're only taking 4 classes and doing an internship. You have to be passing all your classes and be satisfying the terms of your internship.
With the new grade system, what does that mean? What is good standing? 1, 2, 4, 3?
2.
They have to have two or higher.
Correct.
Thank you.
Sure. Other questions? Or yours?
So the other pieces in your packet tonight is, I have the estimated revenue, and the tax rate, and how the documents that you've seen in the past in regards to how the revenue, the estimated, tuition revenue was derived. So if you look on page 28, that's your estimated revenue. Now, it looks like a huge decrease in revenue. It's because we had such a large surplus last year. So really, the difference between where we were at tax rate setting and where we are now, or estimating for next year, is $146,000 difference. But it looks like 1.5 because we had a $1.3 million return to surplus, or return to offset taxes, plus we had a $42,000 warrant article. So those two take into account in that total. You'll notice that there are a few items or a few lines where we received less aid than last year or previous year. So adequacy aid went down $133,000 comparative to where we are for this year. The state education tax went down $34,844. We also saw a reduction there as well.
Can you second? Yeah, Grant, is that
Yeah.
just population driven or what's
No,
driving
there's
that?
there's a huge formula that comes into play. It takes into consideration the free and reduced lunch, there's a third grade reading, there's a bunch of different pieces that fall into this, unfortunately. And a large portion of the districts throughout the state are seeing a reduction year after year. So I'm not surprised by this.
So where's the increase going to be? Going to start with the school district?
I think the school is actually correct
So,
to begin with.
There's shrinkage of money.
I think what ended up happening is that there was a pool of money at one point put together, and then they reallocated the money, and when they reallocated, the pool was smaller, so now each year, which I think it's like 20 or 22 years or something like that, it's going to decline year after year. I know there are several members of our board that have been going up to the state fighting for the next person, and now we kind of go frequently because they're just also seeing a huge reduction in that line to try to fight this change.
I'm sure they figure all of it.
Well,
I'm sure.
there are a number of things that may change this term in terms of, the way state funds education. We won't see it by June or anything like that. I think there are going to be some significant changes as we go along, because of the nature of the legislature. Now, whether or not it gets, all the way through, gets the governor's signature is another story. But there are going to be a lot of potential change normally. See how it works out.
The path down from the state, essentially.
I said, you had mentioned free and reduced lunch. How much of an impact does that have on the adequacy money? Because I've heard mentioned a lot of times you can't get a lot of these kids to sign up, can't get parents to sign up for the free and reduced lunch.
I believe when I was in a workshop a couple months ago, and I went to the recipe, and they take in consideration the applications that have been completed, but they also take into consideration applications that haven't, but students that could fall under the program. So they do.
So they know.
Yes.
Right.
They take a look at the district and see, potentially where other students could fall into this formula, and they do calculate them in. So they do play a part.
Cool.
Whether they filled out the application or not.
I'm just wondering if we could make some kind of push in case some of these kids are being missed to get that paperwork and applications filled out and moved up and possibly increase money from that.
Look, I mean, while it's part of the formula, it's not a huge part.
Okay, it's not like,
There are several,
alright,
and I can get you, the worksheet that they printed out, that shows how it's broken down. That might be helpful as well, so you can see what items play a role in this. It's difficult to explain because there are so many parts to it. But I can get that for you for next time, I'm sure that it's in the drive to you, and it'll show you the different elements that make up the ICA.
that's great, thank you.
Thank
Use the contract down under if you want it. So for 17-18, it was 303,983. For 18-19, it was $386,001. For 19-20, it was $393.94.
you. Very nice.
Sorry.
It's essentially what the increase is in the state of the village is cost of housing. It's actually flat.
Well, it's kind of flat. It's the rate cuts and more cuts. Certainly, the savings do not offset how much of that. Additional cuts. One of the things we will be looking at below there, slide specific to the savings. So
Some of which we did like last year. Good. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Catastrophic aid, is up, a decent amount, up 65,000. As we stated in previous years, that's based on student-specific needs, services for that year. That number could change, obviously, depending on the students.
right, that might see your own, that's based on last year.
It does, that's right, that's right, so it should be pretty close. Kindergarten aid, that's the new aid that came into effect this current fiscal year. So this is based off of what I noticed when, I was speaking with CRA at tax rate setting is that they are using previous year, enrollment when allocating the funds. Whether they're going to do that moving forward, I'm not sure, but they did use it at tax rate setting, they used previous enrollment numbers. I don't know if that's because it was the first year, so I will keep you updated on that, that is how it's been set up so far.
I have a question for Dave on that one. Is Keno generating what they estimated?
They're pretty pleased with what Keno's bringing in, yeah. But they're gonna cover kindergarten, just whatever. That's the deal. The Keno, will pay a certain amount, whatever it is. From what I've heard, the revenues are pretty good. But the state is guaranteed, they're gonna pay the adequacy for kindergarten kids as full, full students, not half students. So that's probably.
And again, with all due respect, the state is guaranteed a lot of it. We're only gonna give you 70% of the 100%.
That was part of the deal on Keno.
Right, so.
I mean,
So if Keno's doing well, I'm more
Keno's
comfortable.
doing well.
If you say Keno was doing terribly, not
Keno's,
here,
from what I understand, Keno's doing well.
I believe they've been talking about increasing the rate for those students.
So the rate per student has gone from a half rate, they're now treating kindergarten kids as whole kids, not half kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were giving $1,100 per student,
Right.
and I want to say they were looking
Thirty.
at,
Well, it's 36, whatever the per student.
they were doubling, I haven't had a final
It's supposed to be,
piece on that yet.
it's supposed to be the same as everybody else.
So if your district that has half the time, you still get it full time.
No.
Half the time.
There are still a few around in this area, I think that's just the only one that's,
That's some just not a public,
yeah, they're the one hold up so far. I know they're tough.
yeah, there'll be a one article. Let's see here. The infrastructure grant, you'll notice 117,000, we had infrastructure grant this current fiscal year, but we don't have that grant again, so it looks like a loss there. Child nutrition is down a little bit, that's, state aid that has come through, a little Medicaid is a little bit less as well, 33,000, again, that's based on student need for next year. Earnings on investments, which is under local revenue, we're starting to, notice that a couple of years ago, 2 years ago maybe, we had, changed banks. Well, we had moved every school and we had to go under the same bank, and now we've been able to school together, and we've been able to gain more interest on that, which has been great. So we're seeing a little bit more return on our investments due to this. The next section, there's the tuition, which I will go through on the next pages, but, so if you don't mind, I'll skip by those right now, and then we can go to the next pages after. Homework transportation is about the same. Rental revenue down a little bit. Miscellaneous other. I think some of that has to do with the food service program. Their surplus is offsetting their budget a little bit. It's like $24,000 offsetting their food service budget, so that's where that number sits in. It's going to be in this miscellaneous other local to offset their food program. And then the others are the small ones. And then again, the capital reserve, because we don't have warrant articles in there yet, which we will show up for later, there's 42,000 there, and then the year-end surplus is 1.3. So that's the breakdown of the revenue. If we turn to skip past the next section and go right to page 32 and 33, we can go through the tuition. So I created the forms just like we saw last year. I thought the format worked well. And so what I did is I took where each of the district students were as of now, actually that should say 12. As of December 1st for each of our area districts, as well as Pembroke, which you'll see later in here. And then I broke down, like we did last year, what was budgeted, and then I did a 90% estimated student arrival come September. And the reason why I stayed with 90% is one, is to take a look at the difference of students that wouldn't arrive with 44 students just for area. That's a large number. And if you think about the last couple of years, especially last year, we didn't have that many students. And this year we're looking pretty good as well. So I think we're on the right track. I think 90 is safe. The other piece you have to take into consideration is the Pembroke students. And so if you were to add the difference between the area students and the Pembroke students, it's like an 81 student difference, which we're not losing 81. That would be, I would hate to say on purpose, but I really think that would be very drastic. So I think that I feel very comfortable with staying at 90%. I know we talked about last year, some individuals were a little more comfortable with 85, but I feel like that would be, I don't feel like that would be a true picture of what could actually occur. So I broke it down again. I looked at what the estimated enrollment were for the students. I took what the estimated costs for PA were, which you'll see over on the left, $12.5 million. I reduced that by the expenses that the area districts already pay for in some fashion, and came up with a net cost per student of $12,845. So what we did last year is we took the 90% estimated enrollment and multiplied it by that tuition. So 732 times the 12,845, and that's where I came up with the numbers that I put, 5.4 million. I've also taken into consideration 90% of all skills, 90% of, non-area students, so students from, we have students from Deerfield, Pittsfield, Hooksett, we have 12 students from Hooksett, one more, Auburn maybe, I think, Auburn. So those are the areas, non-area schools that we currently have. That looks like it will be, coming next year as well.
What's the maximum figure on students?
How many we can accept?
How many that we agreed to accept?
I don't think we have any.
I thought we did, and the reason I'm asking is, I thought we had said 16, because it looks like it's, okay.
No, when I remember reading the agreement last year, I don't remember seeing the max.
Okay. So
They have one because of their contract with, Pinkerton,
Okay,
where
right.
they can send a certain amount to.
Okay, maybe that's what it is.
Typically, we have about anywhere from 14 to 15, so maybe that's it. We have 12 currently. So that could change next year. But we have 12, Hooksett, we have 1 Pittsfield, 1 Deerfield, and 1 Auburn. 5 minutes at this point.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We said 5 committed from Hooksett for next year.
And how many seniors?
That should be in here.
Yeah.
It should be after these numbers.
Oh, so he was just,
Incoming freshmen for next year is 5. That's fine.
so but then,
They sent me those numbers through Paul and individually and we put it in.
I think it's the original. But that should be to be considered. On page 33, you'll see the breakdown of how I came up with the, and I did it a little bit differently. I kind of blocked it out a little bit so that we could understand where the revenue sources are. So if you look at the top of the page, I broke out each of the individual non-area schools, area schools. And the first grade section, which is 5.1 million, captures the 400 students that I estimated on the previous page for area. And then the all skills is, to round that to 13, is right underneath the area schools. I have that as well. And then, so that's 144,000. If we add those together, it's 5.2. Okay, so that's one piece. The other piece that plays a role in the 5.4 is going to be your non-area schools. They also go into that same line. We have 15 students. I'm estimating 14 students for 162,000. So if you add the 5.2 million and 162, those gray areas, that's where I get the 5.4. Any questions on that? I tried to color code it so you can see where I got them from. So I put in a nice gray line all the way across so you can see that section. Then we have another section that is, there are a parent portion of the Hooksett students that parents pay. And so right now, of those 12 students, I'm estimating 11, so that'd be 14,500. That shows up as a separate line on the estimated revenue. You'll see that separately, falls right underneath the study on page 28. So each of the sections that I have the gray line all the way across, those represent separate lines on your estimated revenue sheet. The section below is your alternative skills program. We're estimating, they had 337,000, I did 90% of that, which is 90% all the way across, and that was 303,000. And then for instructional aid, I did the same thing, and I came up with 257,000. And again, those individual gray lines show up separately on the estimated revenue sheet on page 20.
So just a comment on presentation. It took me a few minutes, because you're highlighted rows.
I'll put them above.
just this when we, I would just do a header, and you could still leave it as a footer or whatever, but, I may be, if I'm the only one.
No, I want everybody to be able to, I understand it because I create it.
Right.
I want anyone that sees it to be able to understand it.
Right, and so like even looking at this, so there is none above, again, it looks like, usually when you say head of something, what the detail is,
Sure.
follows it, not it before it, and I don't, you know, I can picture getting questions from people who like, oh, wait a minute, is that line here with this, what's above or what's below? Maybe I have a sense for perspective.
Sure, I can do that. I see how that would be more clear.
Basically, you're saying hit them with a number and then break it down?
Yes, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, you can have the number at the bottom, I'm not saying don't have the number at the bottom, I'm just saying put a header at the top.
Yeah, okay.
So
To identify the
to identify the section,
I gotcha.
because the description,
Yep, I got it.
after you read it, you typically don't read detail, and you see the.
So just the description.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I wasn't suggesting the total, I was just saying that, you know,
Let's make the
the description, this is what it is from the total, this is what it is. Because right now you need to read all the way down,
To
oh, that's what
figure
that
out what
is.
we're going over.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so, like I said, in the budget, we have the headers, you know, this is
Yeah.
the section.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
That's where it's,
Okay,
that's all.
Thank
Yeah, so
you.
we still leave the totals for you,
okay.
so.
I know it's a lot of information on one sheet, so I was trying to show as much as I could so you could see the craziness that goes on in my head to come up with this. I felt like this method really worked well, and it also lent itself well to coming up with a tuition rate for the other districts, because I used the exact same format. So when it came time to do the revenue piece for Pembroke, I thought it was it definitely was helpful for me. But if it's in some type of format that isn't helpful for everybody to understand, that I need to know so that I can ensure that people understand what's going on.
I think there's a balance because there were a lot of questions about this, so people really wanted the detail last year. So I think for those people that want that detail is here, it's great. And then summarizing it, like you walked us through it,
I think it's very helpful. I am concerned, especially where we are now, some members of the budget committee, that I'm just holding my budgets in period. So I'm trying to wrap my head around how to be, people are just engaging in unnecessary different things with highway department.
Maybe I can put together a blurb or something that's
You know,
more systematic. That's like walk through it. The other piece that I have here is the same sheet that you've been looking at for the last year in regards to enrollment. I've been sharing this data with all of the area districts as well. They've been very appreciative, so I think they enjoy looking at that as well. The other piece that's in here is on page 30, which is your tax rate setting, your estimated tax rate setting.
So this is very confusing to me when I look at it.
Well, the reason why this one is so busy is because there was such discussion last year in regards to determining who determines the tax rate, that I wanted to ensure that everyone had a voice. So I created the purple column because this is what we were presenting, and if the board would like to change any piece of the revenue or budget or whatever it may be, we put that in the red, and then the NBC as well. This is the format I provided last year as well.
just wanted to make sure that it presented an opportunity for each of the governing bodies and
What would the difference between the school proposed budget and the school board proposed budget be?
I mean, we potentially could make a change in the revenue of what I bring forward. I'm not sure that
I
that
personally think one of those two
yes,
can be gone.
I agree with you.
And that should help this out a little bit, and then just leave a column for NBC.
But I don't know if the MVC, we turn those numbers in, right? But they can't change what our revenue projections are, can they?
Yes,
NBC? They can't change anything.
but their
They
tax
propose
rate,
them.
they propose them, they can't change them, but they would propose something different, and if their budget number comes in differently, that
NBC
changes
statutory
the,
quarterly only runs on the budget.
Uh,
NBC does not, yes, I know for that. NBC does not fund them revenue.
well, it would still change the tax rate setting if they change the budget.
Right, but again, it's not, they use an estimated budget amount to guide decision making, and they discuss affordability, but the only thing that they can comment on officially is just expense appropriations. So, and I mean, there were years where frankly, we didn't look at revenue at all, it's just not part of the school business. It might have been mentioned or something, but it was consistent for so long. Everyone looked at it. The only thing statutorily, and they also can't, and they would at least have it in the past, find on any, like any non-expense formula.
Right,
So,
they're not supposed to.
yeah, I mean, they can, you know, as I offer, you know, personal opinion on something, but yeah, it's strictly expense. So,
I don't know,
Did he wanna just turn in our sheet?
I don't know if we need this at all.
We do usually do the tax impact,
Right, we'll give them,
just that one
we'll
column.
give them that one column, and that's it.
We can go back to that.
And we'll have one.
well, the NBC proposes.
That's their, they do their own.
That's
tax
part of
That'll be
the
later.
MFN,
Now they can do whatever they want with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Although the dollar amount, is that, I mean, that's what really, for me.
It just, I think it just hasn't all been filled in.
I haven't filled any of it in because
Okay,
this
so
is the
let's,
first time I presented it.
all right, so everyone please spread these after, because I don't want anyone to see, and,
So we have a zero budget for next year?
no, seeing that, you know, tax rate, or taxes are going up like $3 a thousand.
Well, that's probably accurate,
That's filled
because,
in.
That is the correct column.
that's probably accurate, because the money we sent back last year,
Yeah.
1.4 million went
Correct.
back last year.
We
It's
sent
gonna
money,
be an automatic tax increase of
Again,
whatever the number is.
cut the budget $1 million, so there is an offset. That wasn't a one-time savings.
But it was double whammy last
still
year.
a double whammy.
That's gonna be another one for this year.
You can cross off the red and gray, but purple is correct.
The
That
purple,
was right. As we sit here right now, we're up $2.86. And a lot of that, and we probably should know exactly that number at some point, a lot of that, 1.4 million,
correct.
that we sent back.
Cause there's only
Yeah,
267, or no, I'm sorry, 333 aside from that.
right.
So,
The lion's share of it, you're right, is
It's the rest, it's the
the
revenue.
surplus we sent back last year.
That's right.
So we knew, I think we all knew when we sent that back, that was gonna bite us here. If someone's gonna look at this and say,
Again, I'm still struggling with the fact that we cut the budget $1 million, so that savings was no one-time savings. This tax rate is based on, a budget, and when we looked at the, overall appropriation, that put down.
but we sent the 1.4 million to offset this year's taxes,
Offset
plus a $1.4 million budget cut. So 2.8 was actually cut last year. Next year, only 1.4 will be cut,
Right.
because we don't have that surplus money.
So, I hope one year, it makes it look not so big. Following.
And
This is, see if it would happen.
yeah, this is the message you need to get out.
So the reality is that if we were zero increase, it would still be $2.
4 cents or whatever it is.
Right.
Yep. Even if we had an absolutely flat budget, we'd be up. over $2. And that's a message we need as board to get out, that, listen, Merry Christmas, but, next year,
We can get it out on.
going back up. People aren't gonna like it, but that's the nature of mathematics.
That's the reality.
That's the nature of math.
But also 1 year's notice,
Uh,
right? I mean, I think
Right, I mean, this
we
won't
know
hit
it
until
now.
Christmas next year. I'm sure we're gonna hear about it next year at Christmas time, but, no one should be surprised about this. There should be no surprise here. Anything else for us?
I just added in another, trust fund at the end, I added in a couple different things. One, I kept only 5-year, 6 years in this one, to make it a little more easily. And the other thing I did is I added a key at the bottom that basically shows who the agent is to expend are. Thought that might be helpful. So when you see the letters at the top, the C, D, D, whatever, those are related actually at the bottom.
That's good to know.
I thought that might be helpful. You know, it's really small.
Do we need to talk about?
Alright, so I do have some update on trucks. So Jerry Fleury has officially announced, he's been, chair of trustee of trust funds, I think, for the past 23 years, he said, Dave, and he is not running again. And it appears that there will be no one, or from his perspective, at least at this point in time, no one stepping up. And one of the options that he's thrown out there, that I guess other communities have done, is just turn it over to a for-profit manager, which would cost us money in order to do that. So I'm not sure where that's gonna play out. I mean, there were some aside comments along the lines of just eliminate capital reserve funds and just falling with people on board. And there was a discussion relative to, you know, there's some sentiment, at least amongst one or two people, that it's better to bond than people who get the benefit of whatever the expense. People who are paying for it get the benefit of it, whereas when you put in money for capital reserve funds, you're paying for something that you may or may not get the benefit of. You need to stay in town. I mean, I argued offline that that's a great philosophy starting from scratch, but it's not a great philosophy when you're taking advantage of savings that other people put in before you started putting in. So to change midstream, I think, you know, sort of there's a group in the people in the middle that never put anything in, and won't get the benefit of it coming out. They won't pay anything, they won't be around enough to pay it. So, you know, I have a personal concern with that, but what happens to the management of our capital reserve funds, I have a much bigger concern with our charity and Bill.
That's a good law.
He's
How many more years do we have on it?
professional, just, okay.
How much longer do we have?
I think it's to March.
It's just up, okay, so we're gonna have to make a decision soon.
I think that's, is that every year?
No, I think it's 3 years.
Or is it-
We do have our
I think it's up in March.
So it's just something where, I'm gonna figure out, and I'm not sure, I mean, I'm assuming statutorily we have to, it's not like we can take it over, right?
I can't imagine we can manage our own trust.
No, that does not, that seems
So-
like maybe complicated.
Conflict?
So I'm not sure that, you know, I'm not sure what we can. So it's really more of a town issue.
And if,
schools
if,
love it, but.
if nobody runs for the position, then does the select board have the opportunity to appoint someone since it is an elected position?
I'm not sure what. I mean, if no one runs, all it takes is one name, one write-in.
Right, but if somebody doesn't accept it or whatever, I mean, ultimately, the select board would accept nominations.
Right.
And make a decision, and we've been very fortunate with folks who have volunteered to serve on committees, who, you know, and there may be other folks out there who may accept such a appointment. It would seem that maybe the town would be doing some sort of, PR about that.
So it's all town's responsibility, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's
last
not
year,
our,
it's the town's responsibility to keep the trust.
But it's just.
yeah, we don't have our
it's
own
just-
trustees,
But
but
Jerry,
Jerry is the trustee of all the town
Yeah.
trust funds.
Yeah,
Okay,
alright, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
so you wanna talk about E-rate?
Yes, I do. So Josh did his presentation, we've got our replacement cycle, and then I didn't know if you still had access to this, but I put it on the back. He went over the infrastructure planning. So we had talked about adding a line in the budget for technology. Did you see that? For technology infrastructure and separating out our infrastructure and our, replacement. So depending on what you decide tonight, we can add the line, we can put a dollar in it, or if you decide you wanna add money to the budget, we can do that as well. But, the E-rate money is, we're gonna lose that if we don't take action. I broke it down for you so that you can see what's on the table. That table is all schools, obviously, the Pembroke is highlighted. So this E-rate money on where I hand-wrote the top E-rate, and then the next one over says budget. So the E-rate money is what's available to you, and the budget line is what you need to put in your budget to take advantage of that. So for Pembroke Academy, $69,900 is on the table. If you would need to budget $39,000 to take advantage of that. If you don't budget, you lose the $69,000. And this is the last year of E-rate. So your portion, if you chose to somehow fund all of it for Pembroke, is $51,990. So you have a technology trust, so that's something you can talk about. You have $40,000 in that trust. That was, if you'll recall, created for things that could be catastrophic fails, like servers and that kind of stuff. But you're able to expend, you can decide what you want to do with it, you can add to it some surplus, use that for E-rate, you can do a warrant article and just put it to the voters. Do you want to use this E-rate money? If you do,
Yeah, how about capital repairs? Any of this fall in capital repairs?
for technology, I would have to ask. So
I would
it's
say-
wiring,
You're wiring.
server, storage.
That's kind of what I'm
Because,
going here.
yeah.
It's part of the capital.
Well,
If it was
whenever we,
electrical wiring.
it really is, and I will say, the trustees of trust funds have been very, they have not been supportive of any creative. It's.
That's pretty black and white.
Right.
Still a question that could be asked.
Honestly, what we've dealt with, I feel like we've asked and had that question answered so many times, I would not want to ask it again, because I feel like that's been clear.
Just gotta ask Jerry, right?
Right, and it's been a no for so many years.
The thing about the wiring, I think, is that we're at like critical fail with our phone system, FBA. They don't make them anymore, they're out of date, it's really high cost, so having to cut that cost in half, so we can actually get all the wiring done, when we rewire, they can do drops to the phone at the same time.
Oh.
And take advantage of E-rate to get that work done.
I think it's crazy that they do it, to me.
Well, I just look for a way to fund it.
I don't think we can fund it all, but I'd be very comfortable putting it on the budget and taking 20 off the capital reserve, and then moving 24. I mean, let's face it, if we have a catastrophic server failure, that would greatly impact someone, so to leave that ground makes no sense to me. We can go in articles to put 10, 15, 20, even 20 back in. But there's something in there where we just will spend that way, we don't make this so fabulous. And then the offset is more than, we might have with it, with the new rate, that's how much of it is involved.
I would tend to agree with Thomas, would have, take 20,000 out of technology and fund, I think we're very responsible if we don't fund that. I mean, the amount of bang you get in the pocket,
need to do it.
it's gotta be done.
You put it in the budget?
Yeah, for the budget, so 31,919.92.
With the explanation, of course.
We want to know
Offset
why,
by ESP rate funding.
we can yank it out, but we're gonna lose $100,000 worth of E-rate funds, or whatever it is.
So 20, so you're talking about, what's that?
Almost $100,000.
So $13,000 makes sense for $100,000 an hour. Seriously, if anyone questions about that, then we should just go on.
So do you want, since we're talking about that now, do you want us to draft one article to replenish technology out of surplus, or do you want to leave the 20 in it?
We wanna have, hang on just a second. We talked about earlier funding a trust fund up front, like the town does. I'll put it out there for a conversation.
I would, yeah, I cannot get behind that for sure, though.
No.
That's right.
Everything, okay.
That would be tricky. No more dollars, which is the county method, but,
Okay.
no difference, but.
I just put it out there for conversation so people give it an opportunity to discuss it. See?
I still think, you know, if there's gonna be hardwiring infrastructure put into the schools, we should still have to, you know, it's a repair. The systems that need to be updated aren't available anymore, so therefore we've gotta do something to make new systems work, and that's a repair, that's an upgrade, and I think approaching, under the capital repair.
Doesn't hurt. We'll send it.
It would be an opportunity missed if we didn't ask the question of the trust fund.
You know, you can ask.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if I were a trustee member and this was technology wiring, to me, technology wiring is very different from wiring, electrical wiring.
Doesn't matter, it's a necessity.
Today, yeah.
I'm just saying, for the trust fund, what the trust fund, and it's all definition of the trust fund, which is sort of very specific and establishment. So I'm not comfortable with it. I see that as two different things, and I'd be very uncomfortable. Again, you know, that was designed, technology was designed to protect us from technology failures. The other one was designed to protect us from, you know, HVAC and other infrastructure failures.
Fire alarms. You know, that's upgrading technology, therefore we had to upgrade, that came out of capital, right, so this is the same thing, stuff that's a necessity today, wasn't necessarily a necessity 30 years ago, and.
Right, but it's not, you can't use necessity has nothing to do with definition of trust fund.
No, I understand that.
It has to be what's the definition of the trust fund, why was it established, and does it meet that specific criteria? We've struggled with equipment, you know, whether it's bolted to the wall and keys or not.
Remember that.
So, I mean, again, I wouldn't stand in the way of someone asking. I'm telling you personally, I view it as two different things, and I don't think it's a fair.
But if the trustees come back and say we can, do we then as a board vote on that?
Doesn't tend to jump out on a limb anyways. So
Which is why it
you
makes
can,
sense to us.
you can put in a request, and the trustees will vote on it.
But we're gonna ask his opinion, and he's going to be gone when we use all this money.
Exactly.
Good idea.
We probably need to get that.
So somebody, even if he said, yeah, go ahead, and then he's gone, somebody could turn around and say no.
Because we would have to submit for it.
Whoever votes on the board, three-member panel like that, and they vote just like we would, thumbs up, thumbs down. So we can submit something, it could be legitimate, and they could vote it down, there's not much we can do about it.
Because when we submit the expense, we submit all the backup, all the quotes, invoice, everything like this to ensure that what we ask for,
Legit.
one, that we're spending that, and two, that it legitimately can be spent by that trust.
So then, basically, we don't want just Jerry's opinion, we want the opinion of the trustees board. And if, depending on how they vote, could guide where we go.
Yeah.
If Pat's experience with anything big, they won't find that. Go back to the definition of the trust, you're gonna be told, go back to the definition of the trust.
Okay,
If you
so
believe it fits under the definition of the trust, we'll review it and give you our opinion.
can they give us, well, let's get a definition of the trust, let's get what the language of the trust is.
I will find it. I found all the others.
That's probably the oldest trust we have.
Yeah, 'cause
And if you can't find it, John can, because
Yeah.
he's.
No, I don't know, I went back to 1989 today
Again,
to find somewhere.
when you talk about warrant articles though, our other opportunity is we bring a warrant article to change the definition of the trust.
Mhm.
So, to me, the way it is now, in my day job, cabling is cabling and wiring is wiring. It's two different disciplines, it's done by two different sets of professionals, it's two different things. We would never use money assigned for electrical work to supplement cabling, or vice versa, it's just two different things.
It is two
They happen to
different
be
things.
running, no, they're both running cables through ceiling valves or,
I agree with you, it's definitely two different things, it doesn't make one any less of an infrastructure improvement than the other.
Yeah.
No, but they're different infrastructure things.
They are.
So there's a definition of the trust that.
We need a definition of the trust.
And a definition of the trust that. But again, we do have the opportunity to put forth one article saying we would like this changed so that this is especially going forward. We want all, we want.
All wiring
This is what we want to fall under this. We want to change the definition as we did with trust.
I think, looking at it this way too, if there was a leak and it shorted out some electrical wiring, it just easily toast cable, and then whatever so where would you go when you had to have that repaired?
We couldn't take it out of capital.
You could?
We couldn't, because we're not able to spend, we have to go to one article for that. So, emergency repairs, take them out of capital,
Okay,
generally.
that's that
We have a
example.
special meeting.
But we know where you're going with that.
We know where you're going, yeah.
So we've struggled with this in the past in terms of like site work. Paving is paving and site work is, site work, so.
That's why we have that trust.
Yeah, for site work. Yeah.
Right. So, we thought like, well, this trust fund is really, there was some assumptions that this trust fund would, and we all thought like, it made sense. And when it got to the trustees trust funds, we're like, no, that is specific to, you can use that just for paving, you can't trench along the parking lot, the drainage, because that's
Just something different from paving.
Right. So that's why we end up with site improvement funds, that's how we identify that as improvements to the site, all improvements to the site.
right. And site was everything.
That wasn't a building.
What's that?
Anything that isn't a building.
No, site improvement was everything.
Right, that's what I mean. Oh, yeah, everything outside the building.
Outside the building. So that had nothing to do with.
Okay.
Now, on this E-rate sheet I'm not expecting them to, if we do go forward, move forward into the, to use the capital repair reserve, are we able to break out the wiring cost, the cable cost?
Yeah, I believe it.
On his sheet, it's, 65,880 on that color, in that green
Okay,
top.
sorry, I didn't
top
have it
left.
over, all right,
Yeah. That was what Josh gave it in his presentation,
so,
and then the following year, it's only going to be 60,000.
all right, so then, I would only obviously move forward with that if we did go to the capital reserve, if we can find, the wording along it, I guess.
And I guess the other question that begs then is, when you look at our capital reserve, so we have major equipment. Well, is the server a piece of major equipment? It certainly was not an intention of the major equipment reserve fund.
No, no,
To-
trucks and snow plows and
To,
things along those lines.
but, again, if we open up this, that's what I'd be concerned about. I would never in a million years think to ask. Frank, maybe I should, maybe if we had a catastrophic failure, and that's the only place where it's money. But, so, I guess that's why I'm kind of thinking, is I don't see major equipment as stressing anything.
Right.
Even if it had, you know, because frankly, everything has a board right now. And you can't,
I mean, the
you
issue.
can't buy a doorbell without it, you know, having a chip in it.
The issue we have here is some of these trusts were set up 30, 40 years ago, and they've probably never been updated with definitions. They probably need to be gone through an update. That may not be something we want to attack in this session, but I would suggest that they probably, a lot of them need to be updated.
Site improvement and technology.
Those are
Structural materials.
Construction, those are, yep, that one's feeling you as well.
So,
The three
special
items.
ed specifics. So I'd say just capital repairs and major equipment are related to,
Maybe it's something
Leave
that
it in the air.
we could attack.
yeah.
Do you want Patty to get the definition of consume?
Yeah, okay.
And let's review
I can do that, we'll find it.
them? We'll find it.
We could always ask Jerry.
Well, the problem.
Yes, all the old, the old books from town meeting.
The problem is that some of the statements are not matching up. Like, I found warrant articles that say one thing, and that's it. And that is not what the statement says from the trustee. So that's why I was hunting today and looked all of them up, because I have warrant articles. So that was the only one I didn't find, so I will go back at it tomorrow.
Yeah, because all of these titles are pulled right off the page.
Yeah, that's all I was.
Technology is not a capital reserve. It says it on the statement, but it's an expendable trust, you can actually spend. So we'll get it straightened out.
So what do you need from us at the
I
moment?
need to know what you want to do with the technology trust, so we can draft that, if you wanna fund it this year, or not.
Well, I think if we take
A chunk.
Take a chunk out of it.
if we take 20 out, I'd say we put 10 back in.
So we didn't go with 10, except for last year, the first year we did. So do you need a motion to take the 20 out, and then a motion to, or do you just?
Or do you want to
Just
just draft
guidance.
some?
Just draft.
and-
Just draft them up,
Yeah.
okay.
The
All right,
first one, obviously,
so-
we don't have a budget for yet.
That one's a bill.
The number 3 is what Josh asked for his list, and that was $72,000. And that's floor replacements. He has the cycles, but he does a couple floors each year in the building. Security cameras to finish, I think it's the outside coverage in the field. And painting, the school, the building capital reserve, and then traditionally we've taken it out and then added back that same amount in number 4.
Yep.
So you can, we should just with that one.
Do we,
Did it, or-
well, under number 4, can we put more than that in there? Because we didn't put anything in last year, we took out what we didn't bring in. It may be catch up year.
So, you know, what's interesting with that is politically is, we've never really questioned this, everything, you know, this part of our budget process, that's what it's been doing, and this is a couple years ago.
What?
Where we, it was the only one article that had to be, so I do believe it's a different thing.
I agree.
All right, so,
If we take that 72,000 out, what's our balance before we put in?
It was 169, 169.7.
So about 100,000, that, put up 98,000 or so,
These overall,
you know. Get down
we
pretty
should,
low.
yeah, we should be at least back up to 170 or so where we are now.
I mean, I would argue we should have a couple $100,000 sitting there. I mean, just the number of buildings and things we have in the district, although we are losing one, I suppose, but
If you put back in 100,000, that would get you
I guess that
around
was,
two, right?
that was my thought, if we just put it back in 100. So we replaced the 72, and we add a little bit more.
Honestly, Josh was gonna look at this, and I'm not sure how much time it is. But I'm not most comfortable with sort of really knowing the number. I've said this before, we know we have, for argument's sake, 50,000 square feet of roof at a 20-year lifespan. We should be putting X amount of dollars in based on land replacement spending. So I could be convinced to support any number, but it'd be nice, for my sense, that again, the town budget's a fire truck, 10 years in advance, and it's like $100,000 a year. I'd rather, and we don't have time to do it all, but if we start chipping away at that methodology, and maybe say, get a sense for roofs. Okay, well, where are our roofs at? I mean, we've replaced it in the last 10 years. Where is that? There's an approximate dollar amount. And then we can say, we want to put this in because we know. And then next year, we can do a little more research relative to windows or heating systems. We know the biomass boiler had a 20-25 year lifespan. And I'm not sure that for 25 years that is planned obsolescence or just would require significant repair.
Well, 13 years old now.
So we just have a lot of these expenses, so I'd support anything as long as there's sort of, but I don't support the fact that it's rational.
And we've been told that.
So,
And then, I think it could go a lot smoother if we could say, we'd like to put 100,000 in capital repairs, trust funds. We've got upcoming the next 5 year window, we've got X, Y, Z, and we'll put money away for X, Y, Z, and that's in Congress, $500,000, whatever it is.
I think our capital reserves or the thoughts of the capital plans have been taken over by the merge and by the engineering study, and now we need to get back to the day.
I mean, we could have used the engineering study to say $5 million or whatever, and divided that by 10 years or 15 years.
Not $20 a year.
Yeah, right. So we have some of the work already done, we don't have to reinvent anything, and that could just be our source material. The other thing, in terms of capital reserve funds, and again, we'll talk about the last meeting after, probably, but the potential, hill renovation. I'm not so sure, especially when we are budgeted, this is an area we should talk about establishing a capital reserve fund for the express, purpose of, making renovations. If that's something we could start putting $150,000 even into, it wouldn't be that many years before we could do something fairly substantial.
I think you need the committee to hide on that before you would be able to sell that. I don't know if that would be done.
No, it's not gonna be done.
So I think we really need to get that.
But if we don't do it this year, then we have to do so. I mean, we know we're gonna want to do something.
I think you're gonna see
General consensus that we don't.
our reputation took a bit of a beating last year. I'm not sure that us standing up and asking for another trust fund without some kind of, public review and support, I think it's gonna be a tough time for us.
Well, maybe we could get it done. Before. What are more articles here? But, well,
Never met yet.
but then the other question would be, does, our, capital, site improvement clearly could be used. So do we not put it in those trust funds for the potential of the rest of whatever?
Again, that could even be done by changing the wording. So
Well, we wouldn't need to change the wording of those, because
Well,
My guess is we cut 1.4 million out of the budget. That's not a surplus we're talking here, probably is not gonna be expensive at the end of the year. My crystal ball says that we're not gonna have $1 million of surplus.
And yeah, I think you're like at 250,000 right now, which in your budget is close.
That's close.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't think we're gonna be seeing a large, they're gonna want something to go back off their back. We're gonna have to spend something back.
My fear is too, that if we have these large anticipated, revenue sources from like expenditures, we'll be accused again of not being, transparent in the budget process. So I think that there's a fine line there. If we're looking at, 100,000 here and 100,000 there, then those questions are likely to show up.
I think Tom hit on a good point for the Hill School. The Hill School may be the first place where we want to start looking at, we're gonna put money in up front.
Mm-hmm.
That may be a good spot. Listen, we know we're gonna have to do these renovations. We're gonna put $200,000 a year up front into this trust fund.
But to your,
For that.
but to your point, that may be something, right? Typically that would be done in private.
Oh, yeah, maybe just bond the whole thing and call it that. All right.
I don't think we've ever done anything in the history of Pembroke where we're going out and building,
But I do agree with you, the capital repairs and major permit, we should have some idea of what we'd like to do with it, just to stand up there and throw a star at the numbers. I mean, we know we'll spend it, we know we got that work out there, but it'd be nice for the residents and then the budget to hear what it is we want to do. So,
well, and I'll tell you, even capital repairs, we talked about changing definition or frankly, in a different trust fund. To me, it's crazy that we have a capital reserve fund that we're kind of teaching to expend because it's the unplanned.
Right.
So we could have a massive.
non-emergency fund.
Right.
That
We
we
could
have
have
to.
a massive infrastructure failure, money sitting in the bank, and we could absolutely, we'd have two choices, to either significantly impact education in a catastrophic manner, or go to a special school district and that's where, that's it. So to me, it makes, we should have access to some sort of emergency plan.
Your two largest trust funds right now are the two that you don't have access to.
Right. It just, or there should be some other mechanism, because again, it won't take much to go to the district in a very precarious situation.
So what do you need from us?
So do you want me to add 100,000? That's sort of
General fund?
conversation for capital.
100,000 for capital repair?
Take out 72 and add 100. And then,
Do you want to have any additions to the others?
technology.
For technology, we're gonna put 10 grand in.
Yeah.
Put 10 grand in. 100 into capital.
Yeah, equipment is at 7, that's not with the tractor though, right? 77, you have to keep the tractor up. So that's gonna make it, it's almost 30.
Yeah.
So that would put you down to 40.
We should probably put
We
some
haven't,
money
it hasn't come through yet, like,
Yeah.
into major equipment, and I think, again, to your point, identify a piece of major equipment. Identify something that could need to be replaced in the next 5 years. That's cost of money, or a few things.
Some draft notes.
Frankly, I think the other thing we should talk about is our special ed. That's an awful unnecessary event designed for a catastrophic situation, but we typically left it, and this has been a few years, but we typically been comfortable with a much smaller number. And that's a lot of money to just, that sort of sit there.
Well, with $108,000 expenditure coming in this year,
Yeah.
do we use that
Can
fund
we
for
do
that?
that?
And that may be something, if you want, if you're thinking of drawing it down, we've got
Yeah.
Actually, how do you
Don't get me
now?
wrong, I think,
Go on.
I'd be uncomfortable less than $250,000 because we've had other years where it's been catastrophic cases.
That leaves with two.
You know, catastrophic date, like we get hit this
No,
year,
no, yeah.
it's not till next year that we see
I
them.
think it's gonna be only 54 for this year, because
This year.
yeah, next year it's gonna have 108. Right now, you're getting about 54 on it.
The next budget.
Right.
But, I mean,
That's the big one.
I'm talking, we take it out and put in next year's budget, revenue.
Oh,
Yeah. Put in the 1920 budget as revenue.
To offset the 108.
Offset the
that I
180,
just added, yeah.
just add it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can do that.
We
But
could,
that means so you want us to take out the 108,000 that we just added, and then
Right.
next year we just have a meeting, we'll throw out the 108.
Right, all the bridge is suspended from there, we can just
So that will lower your budget.
lower our budget down to something a little closer to zero on the idea.
zero.
Zero is always preferable, but something a little bit lower than we got now. Just a little bit of breathing room.
It is certainly unprecedented for me, I've been around the longest, budget with a small margin like that. I remember standing in front of people asking for an extra 40 cents, and that's a stretch, and now we're sitting on almost 50%.
Well, this is, yeah, the number's gonna be up to you, fully explained.
And I'm thinking, when we meet the budget committee, we need to do that's something, frankly, just shooting me up, but you start with that. Before you.
Oh, I think that should be the start.
Yeah.
Listen, this is, yeah, it's going up by this much. You know, before we even talk about budget, we give a number.
Right, because
You've done the $225,000 increase now, if you take out the 108. So, right?
It's
Even
less
less
than
than
that.
that, so
Less than
Fund one is
Fund
usually
one,
what we
yeah,
report to the
That was
budget.
what,
The other ones are always
220 something or 260?
It's currently 267,
Yeah.
and down to 158, 9, 9.
So it makes me cartwheel, so see that?
It's almost not, I mean, we have the budget this time. It's almost not.
that's percent.
But it is, and
Mhm.
even with the offset of the closure of the village, I think people have a hard time arguing with that kind of number.
Right, but if we go through a whole budget review process, hey, look, we're coming in on the flat budget, and, oh, by the way, taxes are not $3 a thousand.
But there's a logical
The-
explanation for that.
The people have got to understand that. That needs to be, I think it needs to be advertised right up front, in big bold letters.
That's what I'm saying,
Oh,
start
what a
with,
PA.
and then,
But
if
that,
not,
On the light it sign out.
put on the side of the corner.
if not, you know what would happen, we'd have to have the same exact meetings always. People would say, oh, wait a minute.
Holy crap, you guys,
Now let's go through
we're
everything,
transparent.
let's go through everything all over again.
I like to send out my own flyer ahead of time.
But you know, what I'm saying is if there's no
Can't deliver
perspective, and just for perspective, so we, this past Thursday, the fire department presented, and Chief Paulson admitted to a clerical error where he shorted himself $200 on a phone line, a line in the budget for phone expense for the fire department. Town budget is essentially flat with, increases to insurance, which we can talk about too, as well as, they contracted salary review, that's it. So there's adjustments pretty much throughout most of the town. The maintain that labor, apparently, police officers, their scales are $2 less than the town. So I didn't make a motion, but as the judge said, geez, you know, fire department works hard, it's $200, and made a mistake, okay, we just give them at this point, give them $200 back, and I'll hold it accountable for that mistake. And the response was, what, Mr. Doherty? We can deal with that later, but it's fine for now. So that was the level of.
So what about?
And to me, it was just free service, and we really don't think anything on this. And, it's very, very dollars. So, that's just assuming people, and,
All right, anything else in the reports?
Instructional materials is sitting at 94,000.
yeah, and they, is there a?
Are we pulling anything out of it? Do we have instructional materials coming in this year that we should pull out of it?
I would like to keep, it's still early on in the year, but Amber and I are sitting on pretty close look on the budget, and we feel like at some point in the year, we can withdraw money from that.
I usually get criticized also for not removing money from our trust, so,
Well,
just for perspective.
again, what I think we need to get a good sense for is, no matter what we do, short of another $1 million cut off of what we've done, there's going to need to move things back to the tax rate.
Yeah.
We need to have a plan to stabilize that. So, I hate to be too much this year, and just
Not be able to do anything next year.
push this can down the street another year.
I agree.
You know, we gotta get to a point of stability, because up here, down here, down, down.
And this is why the trust funds were established to begin with,
Yeah.
to eliminate debt.
I we have no problem arguing, like, no, we're doing things because our plan is to have a stabilized tax rate, for the employer and everything else. But if we're temporarily, we'll do just this year, and so, we'll be done next year.
So is the consensus that we want to pull 108 out of special ed
Oh, that is.
for next year?
Next year.
Next year.
You can do that.
Nothing out of instructional,
That's exactly what I was thinking for.
nothing out of instructional, nothing going into instructional?
All right.
I would agree with that.
But I think that depends on.
Where we end up this year, and next, let me just.
I mean, I don't think moving forward, they're gonna see this budget of tax increase.
Right.
It's just because we gave back so much money, now
It
it's
needs to be
gonna
reset.
reset itself.
No,
It's been like
you
point
understand,
all along.
but it doesn't, it doesn't take much
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
to upset that.
And there is knowledge on the budget committee of this situation. They have some level of knowledge that this is coming.
So that, I'm just looking to protect that
Sure.
in the future, and not, because quite frankly, it's gonna be, again, we've always done, we've been training longer, so, yeah.
Slight improvement in some kind of one. That's one side.
Josh, everything you want to do?
He's not meant to.
If we had a paving plan, we had a paving plan at one time.
Our paving is actually the right, it's okay.
I think you did the last phase,
We did the back parking lot here, and did a little bit of patching out here. We're probably not gonna do anything in the village at this point, I'm assuming. We did a bunch of work up at Hill.
We did
Yeah,
that
that's.
global.
We can do a little patching, but. What's that,
Parking
Josh?
lot,
Anything? Nothing huge. We got some patching.
Site work at Hills. Where
That could technically, the site work for modular should technically come out of that fund. I would think that do a new sewer line, everything can come out of that, if we so choose.
Well, plus they have to
But
raise
grade it,
the land
and
and.
put some kind of bedding material down.
Yeah.
To me, that's another fund money, and that could then be better managed. We know we should have an asphalt replacement or return replacement plan.
And we do have a plan, we did have a plan to establish that, that's how we got it through. We do, there is a plan,
So-
Josh has a plan.
So again, if we know we're gonna need, $100,000 of this, not gonna be either should know or completely regrade.
That was done with the facility study. There's a paving plan. As part of that study,
Then we should
attach it.
attach that to this, and we should look
Put
at
it right in the budget
that.
binder.
Because, that would need to spend that money now, but again, if we know we're gonna need $250,000 a few years from now,
That's what we should be double to.
that's what we should be going to.
Okay, we'll look at it.
We find out what the site work's gonna cost up there.
The 179 Josh put aside
That
was,
was right.
it included everything,
Yeah,
so it can't be too substantial.
yeah, so, I mean, we could get that out of the budget too. But, I mean, I'm not saying complete this, all I'm saying is maybe a portion.
But I think there's money that's in there currently that's already earmarked. for
Okay.
something.
Yeah, we
We,
have
we,
plans.
we have planned until we, I like to use that term. So, it all broke loose last year. We actually had a plan going forward for that money. And we didn't look at it last year because we just had bigger things on our plate. We should get back to looking at that big plan. Okay?
Okay.
We goodish?
How do you wanna move forward with the budget in terms of going to the budget committee? Do you want us, are you gonna vote, do you wanna have the meeting on the 17th to vote on the final number? It's gonna go to them that same week, but we're running out of time to take the budget to them, I guess. Yeah, we still have some decisions to make.
Do we discuss that with the non public?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. With that. Any business plan?
No.
All right, we're gonna skip policy review. Informational items, anything at this point? Okay. Public comments, any members of the public like to comment, anything, TV or anything else? Yes, sir.
I warned you guys for months before you return $1 million, what would happen.
Yes, you did.
I just want to warn you against spending down too much from your reserve fund, because while selling a $3 per thousand increase, I would call it a correction, will be difficult. I think the pitchforks will really come out when those fall tax bills arrive next year, and you're doing this budget process next year. I think you're gonna want to have some of those funds available for that budget when you're working on it. So, July tax bill is just 50% of the total you paid the year before. It's that fall tax bill that you get in November, December, that, actually accounts for, the new budget and everybody. So I think you're gonna wanna not go too crazy taking money from those funds now, so that they have it next year.
Anyone else? We go back there, still awake? All right. If not, we need to go into non-public session under New Hampshire RSA 91-A, 3, 2T. A roll call vote. Dean?
Aye.
Dave? Yes. Pat? Tom? Yes. Good job. Story, right? Well, next day.
Allows a lot more money.
It just jumped up on my desk, and I'm like,
You know, it's
wait a minute,
over
time out.
certain amount, and you're
I don't know how many times you jumped from the floor
and
to
then
that.
No, was it?
It's now climbing up something or other, and I'm just going, really, can you describe this, look at this man? It's a big bushy tail. It's kind of red.
Where'd you come from?
That right there is a squirrel. But she just got back into her dormer today. They finally patched the hole on the outside of the building. And she had, tonight's the first night back in her room.
That's
8, 9 days. Great.
That's hilarious.
All right, ready to go?
Ready to go.
Okay, 9:05, the board is out of non-public session. Can I get
Motion to kill minutes.
motion to kill the minutes, second? Gene? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to accept, to deliver comments as presented.
Second. Keep going. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion motion to approve the 2 early retirements that meet the criteria.
I thought that's what you just did.
No,
No.
the regular retirement.
Regular time,
Oh,
okay,
okay,
I'm
sorry.
sorry,
Thank
I didn't hear that right. Okay,
The one retirement, the one, the
2 regular retirements.
2 regular
two
retirements.
retirements that meet the requirement.
And then 2 that are.
No, the first one is 2 regular
Two.
requirements.
2 regular retirements, got 2.
Do you use names or no?
No.
Sure.
So it's for Kathleen Yakinen and Ruth Engel.
How do you spell that, Yakima?
Yakinin.
A-N-I-N? For Canadian name. Got it?
Yep.
Y-A-C-K-A-N-I-N?
Y-K-A-N-I-N. And Ruth Engel.
Ruth Engel. Okay.
And the other two, the regular ones,
So the 2 regular retirements, yep.
and that was Tom and Daisy.
Yep.
Okay, Pat.
Don't put these in the record too. Don't put these in the record too. Next.
So my second motion, Sandy, was to approve the early retirements for the 2 staff meeting the criteria being, Charles
Maybe
Neely.
Oh, wait, hold on. Hang on.
Janet, Al. Pat Miller? You all set,
Okay, so those 2 names again, Mark? Sorry.
Charles Neely?
What's going on?
Can I
Did you get it right? Did you get it?
And,
Janet Allen.
okay,
Yep. So I got a motion, seconded by Dave. Comments, questions? All in favor?
aye.
Okay, assignments are done. We have school board mini grants. We have 4 applicants for this year's mini grant, first year of board.
All right,
No,
so, I want to tell you that first.
2 blind on
You want to start, Tom?
Yeah. So, although,
Jen Jones, that's one by itself. And the other one was, there's 3 on this one. There's one for the, weight room, which can barely do weight.
Yeah.
There's one for the.
Do you want this copy? I've gone through, I've read them.
No, I've read them.
You guys want the hard copy?
I'm getting my computer back up
One
here, I'll be
is
1 second.
the, FCCLA. And the third is Wayne Whitmore and the FFA. You see any of those?
No, I thought, I didn't know it was going down there.
all right, so, I gotta tell you, from my perspective, I think we should be respectful of the process. We said we would, award 1, but I gotta tell you, there's 3 of them that, frankly, I'm gonna find an extra $1,000 someplace, because we're talking about, this kindness closet, we're talking about, Wonder Dash robots that came with the donation and expanding on that, and the FAA agricultural experience and using something that we have now, and certainly would be nice to continue to, or to actually use.
Utilize the equipment.
So, yeah, I was pretty impressed with the quality of them. The weight room I'm leaving out because,
It's not educational.
well, it's also not a submission. No, it's,
Yeah.
I they said we'd like to expand. There wasn't much justification.
Are you suggesting that we come up with another $1,000, Tom, or you,
Well, honestly, I think not out of our own pockets, because then we'd have to, we don't get paid that much, but it's just making me nervous.
It is making me very sad.
I was shooting for a tear.
No.
the money's not there, Tom.
I,
This is a single mini grant, in my opinion. We need to make a decision, grant there.
and it's wonderful that we have such great
Yep.
positions. I mean, I'm not sure that this is what I didn't expect this. I mean, it's really great.
So,
People, we can discuss this any way we want to. People want to rank them, and we can just,
no, I think we just discussed it and agree. I mean, it shouldn't be that.
I thought 3 of them were good too. I had them ranked, I did CCLA first, then the STEAM program, then the FFA, the weight room that I pretty much disregarded. Those are the 3 in the order I thought that, who would benefit the most from the money. And there was no doubt that the FCCLA, not only the most people's, but the neediest people will benefit from it. So that's,
I'll say it, I mean.
I'm gonna argue with you a little bit, Dave.
go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just, you want my.
When we threw this up,
Yep.
we threw out some criteria here. It's a competitive opportunity to provide funding for innovative, student-centered educational endeavor. And I would argue that as good as the needy closet is, it does not fall under any of those criteria.
Except it seemed, I mean, the teachers submitted it, but the way I read that, the way I read the proposal, it seemed, put together by students in the club.
Mhm.
That's an educational endeavor. And it's a club of students who share a common interest.
They're asking for money to buy goods for the closet, right? For supplies for the closet, which, in my opinion, that's why they rank lower for me.
Okay.
It just is not an educational endeavor. It's not really student-centered or in it found. You just consider it in it, but.
So, you know what, that's fair, and I'm glad you reminded me of that, it's sort of expressed by last week. So, according to that then I make a motion to approve the, project.
I have fish tank project as number 1 as well, because it's equipment we have in-house, used by multiple students and organizations.
I made a motion.
Okay?
I'll second it.
All right, so, as educational,
Yeah, certainly.
we're not doing it, I mean, the other request, there was something already in, I appreciate wanting to expand it, but that's taking the initiative, something that's not being utilized now. It's clearly educational, so that's why I,
Okay. Motion, seconded. Further discussion? Happens very rarely.
I'm getting old.
but if I want to make millions tonight,
You gonna fund the rest of them?
I'm gonna write a check for another $1,000 or something.
Okay.
Fantastic.
John said,
Everyone good? We're good to vote? All in favor? You're on.
And
Fish tank.
I do think it'd be nice
I'd like to see it.
to include in the minutes, sentiment board that the board was impressed with the quality of the submissions. And appreciated the effort. And at least one member wished that we would find them all.
I've seen in Concord has one, the mini closet, and it's fully.
I think it's a great idea.
And it's fully funded, donations, they have more than they can use.
Fantastic. So do they have a closet now? Looking
Not
for us to
here.
expand it?
Not here, here, we have one in, at Village, I'm not sure where else. Village has one. Okay.
Come on.
Patty, there was nothing for us to sign.
Motion,
No, I didn't get a packet.
Alright.
Yeah.
motion to adjourn?
yes.
There you go.
I wanna go home.
I'm going to tell.
Go on.
Yeah, Dave expressed interest, I don't care who does it, but we obviously need to get it done.
Yeah, like sort of like,
Did you guys decide on the 17th?
We did. We're gonna probably have to approve the budget number,
You gotta have a
Yeah.
number.
even if we just come in with the number and leave.
Yeah.
Do you want me to try and whittle that down to whatever else Patty wants to stick on